Welcome to the Bike Exchange, where the World Ride Series with Mitchelton-Scott. I'm OJ Borg, alongside Hannah Walker. Hello, Hannah Walker.
Hello, OJ Borg.
And just to point out, obviously, the way things are going at the moment, we are now working from home. In our sense, not our home, but from my home. My working from home now seems that I've brought not just a film crew to my kitchen and the world of Zwift, but also Hannah Walker. Thank you for coming.
Thanks very much for having me.
No worries.
Brilliant, isn't it?
It is, although the only way to get you in was like having... Have you seen Anchorman with Brian Fantana when he puts on his certain perfume and then they have to hose him down?
Yes. We did have a big anti-bac coming through the door. It was like... Bzzz.
The only way that Hannah Walker was allowed in. But thank you so much for joining us. Very excited on Zwift that we are going to have a race. The mixed team race live is on the way. We're about 8.5 minutes away from it. It's going to be very, very exciting. Some of the best riders riding 3 short and snappy races on the Fast and Furious parcours of the Crit City Circuit. And it's all for charity as well. The 2 teams we'll get into in a second. The one that wins gets $10,000, courtesy of Zwift for their charity of choice. Crit City, Hannah, have you raced it? I
have not. However, we were talking before, and you've ridden it a couple of times.
I have.
A few cheeky wins along the way.
Well, I've won the C's.
A win's a win, though.
A win isn't definitely a win, yeah. And it's absolutely crazy. Now, you've ridden crits IRL in real life. The thing about a crit is you start and it ends, and in between, it's just pure pain.
It is pure pain. It doesn't stop. There's never a let up. You've just got to be on the ball 24/7. As soon as you take your eyes off a rider, that could be it. That could be the winning move gone. So yeah, you've got to be able to recover well, be able to play your tactics well, and figure out how you're going to outwit your opponents.
Well, that's the good thing about this. Now, it is 2 teams, one in Mitchelton-Scott kit, one in Bike Exchange kit, will take on the 3 races. The teams will be made up of 4 men, 2 women. The women will race against each other. The men will race against each other. Points will be scored in each race. The team with the most points at the end wins. And just looking at the types of races we've got here, we've got the women's point is the first race out, the points race. That is a fun race, Hannah.
It is, and it's very tactical, intermediate points awarded on each lap. And it is exciting. It's exciting to watch, but it's actually very hard if you are in the race. With only 4 of the women in there, it's going to be very, very tricky. And the points at the KOM Arch.
The elimination race is what we'll have for the men's next, which is also called Devil Take the Hindmost. I've never raced elimination, but watching it is just pure stress for everyone.
It's very, very stressful. In my opinion, one of the best races, and it is fun to race as well. But we have a few track riders in here as well. So they should have the upper hand on the other riders who've never ridden an elimination before. And yeah, as it says on the tin, elimination, rider gets eliminated every lap.
And then there's a scratch race to end it all, as well as the women race again. Now, over the past week, we've seen some great rides for everyone to join in on Zwift. If you are at home having to self-isolate, it's been a great way to train. But for the riders as well, who are pro riders, they've done a pre-season, they've got no races. This is perfect because all of the races today from Mitchelton-Scott.
Yeah, this is fantastic. They've only had a couple of races before, all this lockdown, and all these riders are raring to go. They've had the winter training, the prep, the pre-season, and now they're just itching to race. And this is a perfect way for them to, continue that form and actually be very, very competitive. And this is what they are. They're bike races. They love to win. They love to race. Yeah, this is going to be, and it's a first time doing this. It's first on Zwift as well, and first for some of the Mitchelton-Scott riders.
Not going to be the last either. I love some inter-team rivalry. So the Battle of Crit City is what we're calling it. We're going to hear from one of our road captains a little bit later on. That is Luke Durbridge. But first, let's hear Matt Stevens chatting to world champion Annemiek van Vleuten and what she makes of today's event.
So, Annemiek, thanks very much for joining us. Firstly, whereabouts in the world are you? Where are you locked down?
I'm in my house in Wageningen, so just in the Netherlands.
Okay.
I was supposed to be now in Tenerife at altitude to prepare myself, but I had to rush there Saturday. I came back very quickly to the Netherlands because there's a complete lockdown in Spain. So I just escaped the volcano there in time. It's hard to switch now. I have to go for new goals, I think, and I also realized we will not race for a long time. I already have a plan with my coach to stay fit and keep motivated. So yeah, and I think we're in the Netherlands still a little bit lucky that we can go outside.
Now you've got a points race and a scratch race. Your teammate is going to be Jess Allen. I know you don't know too much about what's going on, but
Yeah, I look forward to it, to be honest. Like, it's a fun thing to race with the guys, and I like the format. And the last time, that was the first time I joined Zwift. I had already a really good time joining just on the group ride. And yeah, it was the first time I was not counting minutes on the trainer time, like how long it's taking. So I was very, I was really pleasantly surprised with how much fun it was.
and that's the thing. All athletes are very competitive. I spoke to Luke Durbridge. He said it's going to be very, very animated racing. Now you've already done one race there, only one race this year, Het Nieuwsblad, which you won. You're the world road champion.
Yeah, sure. I have especially a recovery day today to be very fit tomorrow. So let's bring on tomorrow.
Great stuff. And before you go, Annemiek, thanks very much again for doing this. It's going to be great fun. Have you got a word for the fans out there?
I hope they all will watch us tomorrow racing. Would be nice. And I also will be on more Zwift events, so I can encourage really people to join Zwift, because it's very much fun, especially when you're like maybe not able to go outside at the moment, or if you're just still working in the day and you need to have a 1 hour workout. It's very cool to be on Zwift, and you have like in 1 hour you have a perfect workout, and it's also fun. So there is more to come, I think, on Sunday at 5 p.m. European time. I'm also on Zwift, so I hope to see there more people, because there they can join.
Thanks very much, and good luck in the race today. I'll be watching with Matt White. We're going to be commentating on your exploits, so all the best. Thank you.
Annemiek van Vleuten is some racer, isn't she?
She's absolutely fantastic. And you know what? She's just fantastic as a person, as a bike racer. And, she's so strong as well. She trains a lot with the men throughout the winter. She's been in Colombia, and I'm looking forward to how she's going to use that form, to be honest. She's just, she loves it.
She does indeed. If you're wondering why I'm laughing slightly, it's because obviously it's 9 a.m. in the morning here in the UK. Kids are still going to school. I've just heard my kids go out just during that. So let's take a look at the teams. We have 2 teams, Mitchelton-Scott, all the riders from there. Let's have a look at our 2 teams. Talk us through these. Who should we be looking out for in these races here, Hannah?
So with the yellow jersey, black and yellow jersey, we have team captain Annemiek van Vleuten and former Criterium champion Jess Allen. On the men's team, we've got Michael HEPBURN, former world champion and also 2-time Olympic champion, Mikkel Neerve, Barnabas Peak, what a name, and Nick Schultz. And then over in the bike exchange team in the black with the red sleeves, we've got Jess Roberts, Yannick Ensing, Luke Durbridge, Andrew Zeitz, Alexei Konichev and Dion Smith.
Right, we are mere seconds away from the first hour races. You'll see the 2 teams there. You can see them on the bikes already as well, warming up wherever they are around the world, which means we need our commentary team, and it's made up of 2 Matts. One is a guy who runs Mitchelton-Scott. That is Matt White. And with him, a man who it might be breakfast time, but he's always dressed well, possibly in a silk kimono. That is Matt Stevens. Let's get the first race underway.
Well, thank you very much indeed. I am in. I won't discuss what I'm actually wearing. Let's get to what this is all about. This is stage 1. It is the women's points race. As mentioned, it is on Crit City on the downtown Dolphin course. 3 laps, giving a total of 5.7 kilometres. That equates to 3.6 mile. And basically, every time through the Queen of the Mountains Arch, which is about halfway around the circuit, they will get points on the line. And looks like Van Vleuten is already accelerated away. We've already looks like the riders have already started. Now, 4 riders on the circuit. Now, Matt, thanks very much for joining us. There's a few gaps opening up already. Clear some really, really big rivalry in the team here. Are you surprised that Annemiek has gone so early?
Knowing Annemiek, no. If there's someone who doesn't mind throwing it out there early, it's you saw how she won the World Championships last year in Yorkshire, and she's certainly got a nice little advantage early on.
These laps, I mean, this really is going to be a short race. 5.7 Ks. It should be, depending on how they do it, about 8 minutes. But Jess Allen, good bit of riding here. Looks like she's got back in contact. She's actually gone straight past Annemiek van Vleuten. It looks like they're almost relaying here and throwing each other up the road. Ensing and Roberts are a little bit behind. But Matt, before we get through the Queen of the Mountains Arch, look at the first set of points, just a couple of words from you about this format, because obviously the riders can't race, but this is something extra for them, the fans, and for the sponsors, isn't it?
It certainly is. And look, currently at the moment, I've got 85 to 90% of the men's team are actually not allowed even outside unless they're going to the supermarket. So these guys are getting quite frustrated being at home. They're fit, they're ready to go, and it's a great way for these guys to connect, let alone have a nice little hit out in the morning.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. This is certainly going to give them some top-end riding here. But Jess Roberts in front. She is the former British road race champion, just going up the drag. There's not too much of an elevation on this circuit, only about 15 metres a lap. But as they keep lapping round, they will actually this will start to tell on them, but many of these riders will not know this circuit at all. It's only used in closed racing, but Van Vleuten now moves back to the front. Remember, Annemiek van Vleuten and Jess Allen, they are in the traditional Mitchelton-Scott kit. And then Team 2, which is the bike exchange kit in the red and the black, that is Jess Roberts and Jenneke Ensing of the Netherlands. But it looks like Ensing has actually been dropped at the moment. That initial surge by Annemiek van Vleuten has split this group. So it is team number 1 in the Mitchelton-Scott Familiar kit that are in the lead at the moment, or clearly have a bit of an advantage. Remember, we have points first time through. This is the back end of the circuit here, this little rolling section before the dog leg back up the drag. This really is a fascinating little circuit. And Van Vleuten now goes clear, Matt.
Yeah, she does. And it'd be interesting, the tactics from Annemiek, because she is very strong, but probably not as punchy as Jessica Roberts. Jessica has a great pedigree in the track background. And it'll be interesting when it comes down to the 3-up sprint here for the first points of the day.
Well, here we go. This looks like it is the sprint just coming up. Van Vleuten really, really trying here. It's just going through the arch here. It looks like, well, should she get confirmation in just a few moments exactly who's got the points? But Van Vleuten really, you can just see they've dropped the speed just a little bit now. 280 watts, 300 watts. These riders are going to be at or near their threshold at the moment, but Allen looking very, very good. And as you said, Matt, Allen, a very, very good sprinter indeed, still only very young, 20 years of age, won the British Road Championships at a very, very young age indeed, but then really impressed last year with two wins in the Tour of Britain. We should be able to get the points through in just a few moments' time. But Van Vleuten happy to take up the pace at the moment.
Yeah, and I suppose what this is doing with Annemiek is certainly not getting Yannick a chance to get back on. So if it does stay like this, it will be 2 versus 1 for all the points, which certainly does which aid the favour of Team Mitchelton-Scott for picking up more points in every sprint.
Yeah, and just a reminder, 4, 3, 2 and 1 every time through the Queen of the Mountains arch, and then double points on the line. There we go. Van Vleuten did win the first one from Roberts. Allen Ensing taking that final point. But as you said, Mitchelton-Scott in that familiar black and lime green kit, they have a massive advantage now with only one rider in the back, and it's going to be very, very difficult for Jess Roberts to do anything here. Van Vleuten now puts another attack in. This is a big, big move by Van Vleuten, driving hard up this drag. It looks as if she's not going to wait until the sprints, Matt. It looks as if she's happy to try and bring this home very, very early on indeed. Big acceleration. And clearly, she's in very, very good form, holding just under 6 watts a kilo. She is taking no prisoners at all.
No, and Jess Roberts is going to have to make a decision very, very quickly here if she's going to go after Annemiek straight away, because otherwise Jess Allen's just going to sit on her and make her tow her all the way back. So as you can see, Jess Roberts is trying to chase Annemiek, but look at the wattage that Annemiek is putting out at the moment, nearly 6 watts per kilo.
Yeah, well, like in that little attack, Van Vleuten has taken the points again. They're midway through lap 2 of 3. It's only 5.7k, so a very, very short effort here. And we saw Annemiek van Vleuten, didn't we, with that sensational victory in the World Road Race Championships last year, when she went solo for about, I think it was nearly 100 kilometres, a quite spectacular effort. And over this very, very short distance, she's clearly happy to do the same again. Massive move here by Van Vleuten, but she's such an aggressive, tenacious rider, especially being not able to go ride out on the road. It looks as if she's going to take home the next set of points as well, with only 2 kilometres to go to the finish. Great move by Van Vleuten here, just showing, Matt, how strong she is, already taking a win this year as well.
Yeah, 1 from 1. It's not bad statistics for her season. And look, Jess Allen is a very good teammate, and now she's in the perfect situation there. She's just got to follow Jess Roberts, but Annemiek and Team Mitchelton-Scott with a commanding lead after the second sprint.
Yeah, well, Jess Roberts riding very, very well indeed, trying to close that action. Looks like she's actually opened up a bit of a gap on Jess Allen. Remember, we've got 2 races for the women and 1 race for the men, so it's certainly not all over. So Roberts chasing on her own, 20 years of age, very, very young rider indeed, but with a real pedigree already on the women's road race scene, trying to shut this gap. It's 16 seconds, and I think to close that back down to Annemiek van Vleuten is going to be very, very difficult. But if she can get double points last time across the finish line, that's going to help negate the big gap that Van Vleuten and her teammate Jess Allen have opened up. So good riding here by Roberts to try and chase that gap and distance herself, Matt, from Jess Allen.
Yeah, it's the best you can do it out of the situation at the moment, because Annemiek has really gone on with it, and it looks like all 4 girls are riding on their own and basically doing a time trial to try to catch the person in front of them.
Well, look at this, 6 watts a kilogram, 6.2 watts a kilogram. She's absolutely, as we say in cycling, on the rivet. There's her stats. You are looking at the current world road race champion, blitzing Zwift at the moment. Quite a low cadence there, 62, 80, 82 sort of RPM, which suggests to me she might actually be out of the saddle, really putting a lot of torque through the bike. She takes the points again. She's 19 seconds clear of Jess Roberts. Jess Roberts takes 2nd place. That's another 3 points in the bag for her. So that's good mitigation. And remember, double points across the line for the final time through. But no doubt about the rider who we think is going to steal the show and get double points across the line, Van Vleuten. This is an absolute superb display of form, stamping her authority on this race. Remember, it is 2 teams within Mitchelton-Scott that are racing against each other. And Matt, no, although they're teammates in real life, as it were, not in the virtual world, there's no quarter given at all. This is absolutely spectacular stuff.
Exactly. Look, they're competitors, and you've seen this morning that Annemiek is the world champion, and I think her first attack didn't work, but I think the second one was the one that set it clear, and she has been untouchable in this first of the 3-race series.
Yeah, she certainly has, but with Jess Roberts sitting in between Van Vleuten and Allen, that's going to really help. And there we go. That is it's not too far to go. 5 points. She has actually crossed the line. We're looking a little bit further down the road. 30 seconds is the gap that Van Vleuten has put into Jess Roberts. But great riding here by the British rider, who's actually closed up a little bit. She'll be crossing line. She'll get 6 points for 2nd position. So Van Vleuten takes maximum points at the end with 8. We're just looking at, I think it's Jess Allen. She'll be 3rd rider on the road as well. So Roberts has now finished. Allen looks like she's just crossing the line there in 3rd position. That's another 4 points to her score. So Team 1 finishing 1st and 3rd across the line. And Ensing still out on the road at 1 minute and 23 seconds. And there she is, just coming through. Still a very, very brave ride by her. She'll be soon crossing the finish line, finishing her race. And that is stage 1 of the women's points race done and dusted. But unsurprisingly, really, when you consider her form at the moment, when you consider how focused she is, Annemiek van Vleuten blitzing the field. So really, Team 1, well, they've stamped their authority already on this race, Matt.
They have, and it'll be interesting now. The girls have a little bit of time to recovery while the boys come on. And interesting how the teams will change their tactics for this last race for the girls.
Yep, it certainly will. Well, there we go. Van Vleuten takes the win for Team 1 ahead of Bike Exchange. We'll get the exact totals when we throw back into the studio. But that was race 1 done and dusted. Next up is the men. But for now, back to the studio.
Race. I mean, Annemiek van Vleuten was absolutely monstrous there. It was brilliant, the performance.
That was absolutely sensational. She caught everyone by surprise at the start, opened up a huge gap. And, Jess Roberts and Jess Allen were left to, chase it back and close the gap.
It was great to watch it. I mean, the other thing as well, though, having Matt White, basically your boss, commentating on your performance.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
And you can also see the pressure.
But it's also, a different way for him to see racing as well, because usually when he's, in the team car, miles behind in the convoy, you can see it firsthand how these girls are getting on, and with the live stream of the riders as well. Jess Allen, you see the effort that she's putting in.
Well, I remember the thing which is always, it never gets easier, you just go faster. In the Zwift world, it never gets easier, you just get sweatier. Let's take a look at the points so far. So we can see how we went there. Annemiek, 20 points. Jessica Roberts, 15. Jessica Allen, 10. And Yannick Ensing, 5 points, which brings us on to the team points. Remember, this is a team competition. The team at the end of the Bike Exchange or Mitchelton-Scott, which gets the most points, will get that $10,000 to hand over to the charity of their choice. Thank you from Zwift. So there we go. Mitchelton-Scott, 12 points. Bike Exchange, 8 points. After the first race, another race on the way. But first, let us hear from one of our other captains. Now, obviously, we've heard from one, and that was Annemiek van Vleuten, but it takes two captains to take a team on. And the second one spoke to Matt Stevens, and that is Luke Durbridge.
Hey, Luke, how's it going, mate? And you're going to be doing the elimination race. That's going to be short and sweet. So how are you feeling about that? Is there any sort of banter going on between teammates, or are you kind of, what are you expecting?
Well, I don't know, actually. That's the thing. The last time I did an elimination race was when I used to race the track back
They
in
lost audio. It wasn't from our end, was it?
So, and I'm not very punchy, but
changing.
generally what I do is I go straight to the front and ride as hard as possible, and no one can try and come past, and that's sort of how you can not get eliminated. But yeah, I think it's a little bit of banter. Michael Hepburn is on the opposing team, and it doesn't take much for me and him to start sledging each other. So we'll be talking some shit to each other. But yeah, it's going to be intense, bit of fun. But I think whenever you put a race and you add athletes, and especially the people I know on the other team and in my team, it's going to be hard, and we're going to win, and we want to win as much as possible. I don't care what we're playing. I want to win. So that's why I would go. That's
a serious gauntlet to lay down there, Turbo. Now, just before you go, what have you got to say to the fans out there? I mean, it's, as you say, unprecedented times. We're all trying to keep a morale up. This is great from Mitchelton-Scott to put these races on the Zwift platform. But what message have you got for the fans before the race?
Well, I think just for us, it's hard. For the fans, it's hard, and I really think that everyone just needs to, look after each other in a sense of be a bit compassionate with each other. It's very difficult times for the sponsors. It's difficult for the team, for the riders, for the fans, and we're all going through this together. And we have a really great community within cycling. And with something like a platform that Zwift has provided, we can still connect with our fans, still have that racing edge. So just get on board, I guess. There's no racing. There's actually no sport on television at all at the moment. So this is a great opportunity to jump online, watch it, support us. We'll support you guys by giving it everything we can. And trust me, if you haven't done a session on Zwift, it's bloody hard. So, I think thanks for the support from everyone, and we're going to give it our best shot to just try and provide you with some good entertainment for these tough times at the moment. And I'm sure in a couple of months' time we'll be back on the road ready to go.
Luke, thanks very much indeed, and enjoy the race. Take care, mate.
Thank you to Luke Durbridge there. I am excited about this race, Hannah, because it's the elimination race. For people who've maybe never seen an elimination race, or devil take the hindmost, what is it?
It's very, very exciting. Last person over the line gets eliminated. Simple as that. You have, only one chance to get it right. And, every lap, one rider will be eliminated. We've got two track riders in here, Turbo Durbo, Luke Durbridge, and Michael Hepburn. So they'll have the upper hand of how to race this. However, they've just seen their respective teams and seen how they've got on. Bike Exchange know exactly what they need to do to gain points onto Mitchelton-Scott team. But yeah, ones to watch here. I think Michael Hepburn's got a bit of fire in his belly.
I'm excited about this race. Our second of three in this little mini series this morning. If the racers can't get to the mountain, we'll take the mountain to them. Second race, let's hand over to Matt Stevens.
Well, thank you very much indeed, OJ. And as you said, this is the men's elimination. It's the only event for the men's. They have got it all to do in relation to try and changing things at the top of the leaderboard. But the way this works is they have 8 laps of the bell-lapped circuit. So it's the same circuit, but they're going to face it in the other direction. 9.6 miles in total. That's 15.2 Ks. First lap through is going to essentially be a warm-up. Then from laps 2 to lap 7, the last rider across the line at the King of the Mountains arch will be eliminated. That'll happen every lap until there's just 2 riders left who'll then battle it out for the top points at the end of the day. So the first rider eliminated will essentially get 1 point, and the winner of the race will get 16. Now, Matt, this is going to be an interesting one. We've got 8 riders on the circuit. Who's your tip? Because we've got a real mix. We've got one of the finest climbers in the world We've got some fantastic track riders, some young upcoming sprinters as well. A real mixed bag of riders here, Matt.
It certainly is. And if you look at the two teams, if you look at Mitchelton-Scott there, Michael Hepburn, like our host was saying before, has a lot of experience on the track and is a very strong, punchy rider. Barnabas Peak is someone who not too many people would know about. He's a neo-pro in the team, and he's probably spent the most time on Zwift than anybody because he's been injured. He broke his scaphoid in October, hasn't been able to be on the road, so has spent a lot of time on Zwift over the last couple of months. He said Mikel Nieve and Schulte, two great climbers. Haven't spent too much time on Zwift, but I think Schulte is a little dark horse. He's a very punchy rider. Then on Team Bike Exchange, they've got some work to do to get some points back. And we said we've got Turbo Durbo, who's a machine, and he's going to be one of the ones to beat for the overall in this elimination race. Alex Konishev, another punchy rider who's a neo pro as well, and Andre Zeitz and Dion Smith. Andre's a very, very solid climber, and Dion Smith, he's another little pocket rocket, and I think he'll go quite well in this format as well.
Indeed. Well, Dion Smith is a great young rider. Comes from New Zealand, so we've got a mix of got Spaniard. We've got a rider from Hungary. That's the aforementioned Barnabas Peak, who's got to the former Hungarian road champion. I think he won the senior title when he was only a junior. We're looking at Dion Smith at the moment in the picture-in-picture. Remember, the first lap is clean. Nobody's going to be eliminated on the first lap, and all the riders at the moment are together. It's Konishev just at the front. Another very, very fast finisher indeed. It's going to be all about watching each other here. I think they are just getting the measure of each other, looking at the watts they're putting out, 4.4 watts a kilo, certainly something that these riders can handle. Just going through the KOM march, arch there. This next time through that we'll see a rider that's eliminated. So essentially, last rider through will be taken out, then we'll be down to 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 at the end. So, a lot of competition here. And just a reminder, Team 2 in the red, they're riding for Bike Exchange. That is Durbridge, Konishev, Zeitz and Smith. And then Team 1 in the more familiar Mitchelton-Scott kit, that's Hepburn, Peak, Nieve and Schultz at the moment. So we're looking at the scats of Hepburn at the moment. Konishev moves through to the front. What do you think the tactics are going to be here, Matt? We've discussed the fact that they're all different sorts of riders. What do you think we're going to see? A quite aggressive race or quite a tactical race?
Oh, I think early on we'll see quite a tactical race until I think a couple of the riders will sort of suss each other out, how they're positioning and how they sprint. And then I wouldn't be surprised to see some of these strong guys go for the doctor here and try to move a little bit early when we thin it down a little bit, 2 or 3 riders left to go.
Indeed. Well, Hepburn on the front there. Durbridge still 4.2 watts a kilo. Just coming through at the moment. There's the stats of Luke Durbridge, just gradually winding things up. I mean, I came on air very early on, about an hour and a half ago, and Durbridge, Luke was on his turbo, making sure he was warmed up. And Matt, for these short, really, really short efforts, remember this is just under 16K, so a smidge under 10 miles. The riders really do have to be prepared, don't they? So a big warm up, and these riders are used to warming up for TTs and track races, aren't they? So a warm up with something so sharp and ferocious as this, absolutely critical, as we see Hepburn lifting up the watts a bit.
Yeah, definitely. These guys, this is like preparing for a prologue. They've got to be ready to go from the gun. As you can see, the boys are starting to wind it up here as we coming around on the first of the elimination laps.
Yep, this is the first elimination lap. So 1 lap has been done clean. So next time through the King of the Mountains Arch, one of these riders will be eliminated from the field. But the good question is, who is it going to be? Will it be Barnabas Peak? Will it be Dion Smith from New Zealand? Nick Schultz from Australia? Konishev from Italy? Will it be Hepburn? Who's it going to be? They are starting to wind things up. Hepburn back on the front again, 323 watts, 350. This is getting very tactical. 3 red jerseys there. That is Team Bike Exchange versus Team number 1 from Mitchelton-Scott. Remember, after round 1 and that big effort by Annemiek van Vleuten, it is Mitchelton-Scott in the lead with 12 points. And this is the sprint now. Hepburn goes to the front. Durbridge, I think, takes that one. It was Hepburn. Hepburn takes it from Konishev and Durbridge. So Hepburn, draws first blood again for Team 1 there. But the rider that is going to be eliminated on this particular case, let's just have a little look at that. Remember, it's not a points race, but the rider's making sure they're at the head of affairs. So it is Barnabas Peak, I think, is going to be eliminated. I think we've only got 6 riders in the field here, just to clarify that, not 8. So only 6 riders out on the track. And I think it is Barnabas Peak who has been eliminated First time through, leading 5 riders. So the young Hungarian, although he is a very, very fine sprinter indeed, he is the rider that's been eliminated. So we are down to 5 riders out on the circuit. Durbridge, Konishev, Hepburn, Schultz and Smith. So with Barnabas, a bit of a surprise there for me there, Matt. What did you think about that sprint?
Yeah, look, I thought it was a close one between Schultz and Barnabas for who was going to be last across the line there. But that's a great start from Team Bike Exchange. They're behind the 8 ball after the first race from the women, and they've certainly started this elimination race in fine fashion.
Yeah, they certainly have. Very, very good riding there. So to advantage them, but of course, the big points are at the end of the race. So the first rider that's eliminated still gets a solitary point or two, but the big points are at the back end here. Ultimately, when we head into the final lap, it'll be 16 and 14 points on offer. That could really change things up at the head of affairs. And as you say, Matt, Bike Exchange, good manoeuvre there, but it won't be too long. Remember, these laps are only 1.9 kilometres before we're heading back through that King of the Mountains arch again, and there'll be another battle for position. It is Nick Schultz, Luke Durbridge, Dion Smith, Alexander Konishev and Michael Hepburn, some really, really class riders here. Now, wonder, Matt, is if Team 2 Bike Exchange are going to use their tactical superiority to maybe attack a little bit here and go early. That's not something that's too unusual in an elimination race, is it?
No, it's not. And with such a small field, it is going to be hard to bring someone back if they go away. And as you can see, the boys are starting to ramp it up already here. The Mitchelton Bike Exchange, the Mitchelton Bike Exchange team has certainly put the hammer down through here.
Well, big move. It's Nick Schultz that's gone out. There's going to be eliminated this time. So Schultz is out the back. So Dion Smith was the first to cross the line there. And that's a very, very difficult point in the race because you're actually blind to where the King of the Mountains is there. Nick Schultz is out of the back. He was riding for Team 1. So 2 riders from Team number 1 have been eliminated. This is totally redressing the balance for the Bike Exchange squad. Fantastic riding. It is now 3 Bike Exchange riders versus 1 rider from Team number 1, Matt. Complete domination so far. This is a great race.
It is, and so it's Michael Hepburn versus the rest. And the one thing I have noticed with those sprints, position into that last corner is crucial, because if you come into that corner at one of the last wheels, you certainly haven't got much time out of that corner to move up and pass the riders around you.
Yeah, I think as riders get through these laps, we're on lap 3 of 8 laps. I think as riders gradually roll round these laps, they're going to get a little bit more familiar with when to start accelerating. But we saw some big numbers on that little chicane before the King of the Mountains, before the point where the riders are eliminated. But it's Dion Smith now setting the pace at the front. Konishev also there. What a big future he has. Dion Smith from New Zealand, very, very solid all-rounder indeed. He can sprint well, he can climb, and is an exceptionally good utility rider. But Smith now rolls to the front. Schultz, of course, out of it now. 35 seconds down. Konishev just sat in there as well. But good riding here by the Bike Exchange guys. But I wonder if we're going to see the sole rider, Michael Hepburn, try and go early here, because he's got to be careful in that, not to get rolled by the rest of the squad.
It does, and it looks like they're boxing him in a little bit here, and some of the riders from Bike Exchange have gone. Someone's gone already. So that's one of the, it looks like Turbo Durbo's gone. So he's going to be safe to not get eliminated this time around. And Michael Hepburn's got a lot of work to do here to make sure that Bike Exchange is not eliminated altogether early in this elimination race.
Yeah, he's got to be really, really careful. Just sat in the slipstream of Dion Smith here. We should see some big numbers be kicking up in a minute, because when we head around one of these corners, we're going to go under the arch. Oh, good move there. Big acceleration coming up. We just got another left-hander and then a right-hander. But Dion Smith, well, is he going to get swamped? We've got one more right-hander before we come. Look at the numbers being dropped down here. Is he going to get eliminated? So it's so close. It looks like he's going to be safe. It is Dion Smith that gets eliminated, I think, here. We'll get confirmation. No, Smith is first, so it's Konishev that gets eliminated on this occasion. Alex Konishev of Italy is now out. So good riding there by the sole rider from team number 1, who was completely isolated. But Konishev is out, leaving 3 riders in the mix. Good sprinting there.
Yeah, it was. Look, Michael Hepburn is even though he's outnumbered here, he's riding very, very tactically astute. And now the odds are becoming more in his favour. 2-on-1. but it will be very interesting to see how the Bike Exchange play this out, having the numerical advantage.
Well, next time through, there will be the final elimination as we look at Konishev has been eliminated. Now, as we only have 6 riders on at the start, or we had 6 riders on the start, not the 8 as previously anticipated. Once the next rider is eliminated, the last 2 riders who are left are going to have to ride the last 2 laps before the final sprint to the line. As we look at Dion Smith in second position, looks like Durbridge has tried to go clear here. That is very, very interesting. Nothing wrong with that at all. Now, I'm wondering if that is a real clear tactic because he's actually punched off the front here, Matt, and that means that Smith has really got to try and chase now.
Yeah, look, it's now or never. No one wants to give Turbo Durbo a big gap on a circuit like this because he's going to be very, very hard to bring back.
Yeah, big move here. He has gone clear. Luke Durbridge looking very, very strong for Team Bike Exchange in the red, but he's looking like he's coming back. HEPBURN and Dion Smith are bringing him back. So HEPBURN looking very, very good indeed. He's riding for Team 1. He's now in position number 2, but HEPBURN's got a big engine looking very, very comfortable there on the left-hand side. The former TT champion of Australia, and he took the scalp, in fact, of Turbo Durbo back in 2014. It won't be long before they're coming back through the arch again. These laps coming around thick and fast, a couple of left, a little left, a right, a little shimmy, and then we'll see them open up the taps for this little sprint to the line. Who's it going to be? Which 2 riders are going to go into the final 2 laps together? Again, another little left-hander coming up. HEPBURN, Smith, and a Turbo Durbo starting to wind things up. Big power. It looks like HEPBURN. HEPBURN is actually being left behind here. HEPBURN is the one that's being tossed. Look at the face of Luke Durbridge as he winds through that bend. Nothing HEPBURN could do about that. He is the rider that's eliminated, leading 2 riders, Matt, from Bike Exchange to battle this out. It's been a big change of fortunes. Big move there by Turbo Durbo.
It was, and look, they needed to perform in this second round, and they certainly have. And this is going to really level up the points tally once this is over.
It certainly will. Well, whatever happens, it is Team Bike Exchange that are going to get maximum points here at the finish. It is 16 and 12, so they've secured, well, not quite maximum points, because of course, 3rd place on the day in this particular round will go to Team 1. But Durbridge, well, he's using this as an extra training session. He's not hanging around on a club run round this circuit. He's dropped Dion Smith and is accelerating around here, using this, Matt, as maybe a little bit of a cheeky little training session, and wants to take out a victory. Because let's be honest with you, Matt, a win is a win, isn't it, mate?
A win, it is. And knowing Durbo, he's got a bit of a gap now, but he's in a great place. And I said this morning, he's already been on the home trainer this morning, another session, and he is ready to go for this 3-race series.
Well, remember, Luke Durbridge, the man on your screen at the moment, riding for the Inter-Team, well, Bike Exchange in that black and red kit, 4 times Australian time trial champion. He is the current time trial champion of Australia as well. He has got the bit between his teeth. Be lovely if we could get some more stats on his screen. Dion Smith, again, looks like he's lapping a couple of the other riders who are still bowling around. There is the picture of Dion Smith, his teammate. He can just cruise round now. I don't think he's going to make too much of an effort to try and catch Luke Durbridge because once Luke opens up a 2 or 3 second gap on anybody, it's very, very difficult to bring back. But Matt, as we head into the last couple of laps, just tell us how valuable a rider Luke Durbridge is in the squad. And again, he was in good form as well this time of year because, of course, he was focusing on the classics, wasn't he?
Yeah, look, I think for a lot of the riders, it's frustrating. But for the guys whose immediate goals were in the months of in March and April and highly likely May, it is disappointing. The riders like Luke, you only get so many goes at the classics. He was certainly peaking for this period and was in great form. Started off the season very, very well down under with winning the national championships, beating the world champion Rowan Dennis. Then, as always, he plays an incredibly valuable team role in all the races that we do. And look, this is a great way for these guys to to keep entertained, to keep fit. And before they have a rest and target on some goals coming up later in the year.
Yeah, when I spoke to Luke, we saw the little interview earlier on. He did seem to be in pretty chipper spirits. I mean, because as we mentioned before, there are quite a lot of riders in the team. The ones that live in Spain, you live in Spain yourself, that aren't just lockdown, they cannot go out on the road to ride. So, I mean, for you as the manager of the team, how much involvement do you have with what the riders do day to day in terms of keeping fit, and how do you keep their morale up?
Yeah, look, as far as my involvement, not much at all, actually. We've got a coaching team that they're the ones that they have the day-to-day contact with. But as far as keeping contact, I'll keep in contact with a lot of the guys. And between the numerous sport directors that we have, we're always keeping in touch with these guys. But I think even now it's even more important that we're only 7 days into a lockdown at the moment, but it's going to be 15 days as a minimum, and this could even be extended. So some of these guys might not be able to leave their house for 20 days, as a minimum 15. So I think the novelty will certainly wear off in a week's time, and I think Zwift and staying connected like we are is a great way for the guys to talk to each other, to keep connected as a team, because at the end of the day, that's what we are.
Yes, indeed, Matt. I mean, like I say, Zwift will certainly keep them sharp. Again, it's the fact they can ride. I mean, the thing that Mitchelton-Scott have done this week with the Where the World Ride series is it's not just riding within the team; it's actually bringing the fans on board as well. So, although this is a very difficult time, you've turned it round a little bit, Matt. I think it's been a real celebration, and to get for the fans to have an opportunity to ride online with some of the finest riders in the world, it's actually a pretty wonderful thing, really, isn't it?
It is, and for one, our fans can ride and race with the guys. Two, you can see some of the best guys in the world. Remember that the world champion was racing 10 minutes ago, Annemiek van Vleuten. Seeing her race against her own teammates, and who knows what the future brings. Maybe you will see some team versus team racing in the not too distant future. Yeah,
definitely. Who knows? But Durbridge just lonely cruising around this circuit at the moment. There he is, Luke Durbridge, with his old, I think that looks like one of the name badges that goes on the front of a car in either Tour de France or something. He's worn the yellow jersey in the Dauphiné. Actually beat Bradley Wiggins in 2012 in the prologue of the Dauphiné, just showing his real class at this sort of lone effort, but certainly enjoying himself. Bit of a surprise to me, Matt, to see Luke actually start with his sunglasses on as he wipes himself down there, but it certainly doesn't seem to affect his performance too much.
No, they didn't last too long either. Maybe his home trainer's pointing towards the sun, but it's been a great ride from Bike Exchange here. And once we see the final points tally, I think it's going to be very, very close. They might have even taken the lead back from Team Mitchelton-Scott after the domination in the first event from Annemiek van Vleuten, especially.
Indeed. Well, as soon as he crosses the line, he's on the last lap now. There you go, 1.9 kilometres to go. So 1 lap to go for Luke Durbridge. Again, resplendent, not opting for a helmet in the virtual world of Zwift, but it's got a very, very good-looking beard there. And his hair selection is on point as well. So it does actually look very, very like Luke, the real Luke Durbridge riding out on this circuit at the moment, Matt.
It does. It's probably the only difference is probably calves a little bit bigger. That's about the only difference, I think.
Yeah, his calves do look a little bit bigger than Luke's, but no, good ride here. And as you said, Matt, this is really going to change things round at the top of the leaderboard. This is essentially a lap of honour for the Bike Exchange team. Annemiek van Vleuten absolutely wiped the floor with everybody else in round one. Big dominating ride by the Mitchelton-Scott team, but this ride by Luke Durbridge and his teammates, Konishev and Dion Smith, has really redressed the balance. So as we head into the final race, which you can see in just a few minutes' time, we'll work out the points. Me and Matt, well, we're not great mathematicians. We're best off talking about cycling. So we'll leave the stats to our backroom staff to work out. But I think what we're set fair for, Matt, in the final race, which is a scratch race of the women, it's going to be fantastic, isn't it? It's really on a razor's edge.
It will, and the interesting thing about this last race is, and once we see the final points, is how the women, or how can they try to combat the strength of Annemiek van Vleuten? Will they be? Obviously, we saw her tactics in the first race in the point score, and are they going to be able to hold her off in this scratch race? Because winning the scratch race from Mitchelton-Scott there again would be great for their points. And I don't know about the other girls. Have they got it in them to go with her this time, or are they going to try, or are they going to be happy just to mark each other out and pick up the points for second, third, and fourth?
Well, that's a very, very good point. It's going to be interesting to see how the tactics play out. But the last 300 metres or so for Luke Durbridge there, again, picture in picture on the left-hand side. He's not actually hanging around here. We say a lap of honour. He's not backing off at all. He's using this as a really, really good session, using the form that he'd honed for the Classics. Sadly, they weren't to beat, but he is going to be the winner of the men's elimination race by a country mile and putting Team Bike Exchange firmly back in the mix in this mixed team race series. One more race to go, but Luke Durbridge, well, looking very, very good. And clearly, Matt, has got some great form at the moment.
He has. And after this couple of weeks on the Zwift there, hopefully the boys can get back on the road in the next week or two, and then he'll turn his focus there towards July. And fingers crossed, we obviously have the Tour de France, and that's a race that Luke will be preparing for after he has his little spell at the moment.
Indeed. Well, fingers crossed indeed. It certainly didn't do Matt Hayman any harm when he was injured a few years ago and went on to win Paris-Roubaix. That's riding on Zwift. He exclusively trained on Zwift on his comeback trail. But Luke Durbridge, soon we're going through the finish line. And there we go. No doubt about the winner of the men's elimination race. 16 points in the bag for Bike Exchange. Dion Smith in second, Michael Hepburn in third position, Konishev, Schultz, and then Barnabas Peak. So Turbo Durbo leads Dion Smith to a Bike Exchange 1-2. But the big question is, how has that affected the points at the top of the table heading into the final race, which is the women's scratch race? Back to you guys in the studio. Shades on.
Which is we're indoors, wear sunglasses.
Of course.
Which is the future of everything. Wearing our sunglasses indoors, which is the Durbridge style. And that turned into a training ride in the end. He was absolutely on fire. And the thing is, in an elimination race, if you go clear, the job's done.
That's it. And, no one could get back to him. However, he did have, they had the upper hand on Bike Exchange. Hepburn held his own, though, against the three of them. He was able to eliminate Konishev, but Durbridge was just too strong there, and Smith, who worked well as a team, and hopefully they clawed it back in the team classification as well, because that's what it is all about.
He is flying. Let's take a look at the team points. I do believe we have them here right now to have a look at. We can see that Mitchelton-Scott, 34 points, but those wearing the Bike Exchange jerseys, 44 points overall as we head into one final race. Now, if you're watching this right now, wherever you are on the planet, and it's whetted your appetite, we do have more racing, the Tour of Watopia, myself and Hannah Walker again tonight, 7 p.m. GMT, which is 12 PDT.
And 8 CET.
There you go. We'll be doing that later on. Did you catch last race? Because it's the men's race against tonight.
Yeah, I caught the women's race on Monday.
Oh,
with Mary Wilkinson.
With an unbelievable effort. She tweeted out a picture of herself lay on the floor afterwards.
Yeah.
She was in trouble.
Picture speaks 1,000 words, doesn't it? But the yellow jersey that she'll have, and Jonathan Levy will have that tonight as well. Mary had the yellow bike, the yellow decal on the wheels. Fantastic. But going to be another electric night of racing. 7
o'clock GMT tonight. Make sure you tune in for that. Right then, third race is the women back out again. It's the scratch race. The question, which was asked by Matt Stevens there, is can anyone do anything about Annemiek van Vleuten? She was so strong. She will have a rainbow-coloured target on her back, but sometimes that doesn't matter.
Yeah, she showed her strength at the start. She was able to let the other riders come back, and then she hit them as soon as they were able to, just about get recovered. She hit them again, and she went clear. Probably will, employ the same tactic. However, Bike Exchange will have spoken to each other. So Jess Roberts and Janneke Ensing. How can they, outwit the Mitchelton-Scott team today?
That's what we want to see. That's what we want to see. And it's a scratch race. I mean, the thing when it comes to a scratch race, they can get very tactical.
They can, and it's the first person to cross the line. It's as simple as that. However, it does become a tactic, especially when the team standings are so close. Jess Roberts, the sprinter for Bike Exchange. Jess Allen, I'd say the sprinter for Mitchelton-Scott, but that all depends on Annemiek van Vleuten and if she gets away and leaves them.
I can't wait. Right then, we are going for our third race right now. We'll be heading over in just a second to join both Matt White and Matt Stevens as well. And what do you think Matt White has got from this? Obviously, he runs Mitchelton-Scott. He's got to see his athletes, who normally they'd be out around the world, they'd be racing on the road somewhere. He's got to see them racing, taking each other on. And it seems like having a good time as well, which, when it comes to the mentality of a racer, you want your racers fit, but you want them happy as well.
Yeah, definitely. And, as we've seen on the live streams, the riders, it's not a walk in the park. It is so hard, and you saw the effort from Luke Durbridge just before. But I think for Matt White, as I said before, he's usually just seeing the back of the peloton, just from the convoy. Here, he can see the riders in action, how they're getting on, and also kind of take a little bit from it and think, well, actually, maybe we could insert this into the program on a more regular basis, this style of racing.
Well, that's what we want. At Zwift, we would love to see more of this racing. And I want to have a crack at this racing as well.
I think they should put this on for regulars as well.
I think they should. Or if Matt White wants to sign us, maybe we're available to take part next time.
Esports team.
Oh, yes. Let's make it happen. Right then, third race. It is a scratch race. The women are back out. Let's hand back over to the Matt Squared, starting with Matt 1, Matt Stevens.
Thank you very much, OJ. Well, we are on tenterhooks here. Which team is going to be the winner? This is the final event. It is the scratch race. And the rules are simple. It's 4 laps. First across the line is the winner. And the winner receives 8 points. Second place, 6, 4 and 2. There's 4 riders that will start and 4 riders can score points. And of course, everything to play for. There's the riders just warming up on the line. Allen and Ensing and Roberts. Annemiek van Vleuten absolutely, destroyed the field in this first race, but she's got a lot to do. And Matt, heading into this final race, it's only 4 laps, 7.6 kilometres. That's just a smidge under 5 miles. What do you think is going to be the tactic of Team 1 after dominating now? That they've got to go on the offensive here to try and get maximum points.
They do, and I would think, looking at the first race, that Annemiek will try to slip away sometime in these 4 laps, and it'll be up to the girls from Bike Exchange to see what they do, whether they let it go, because at the moment they are in the driving seat with 10-point lead, and with the points available, it's going to be a tight one.
Yeah, it certainly is. Well, the riders just warming up here. It won't be long before the flag drops on their next 4 laps. So I've no doubt that these riders have probably not even been off on the bikes. And there they go. They're rolling off on their final 4 laps of this series. And Ensing goes clear. She was the rider that was distanced early on, riding for Team 2. So Ensing already happy to go clear. But Annemiek van Vleuten, look at that, 5.6 watts a kilo. She's not taking any chances at all. Closes the gap to her fellow countrywoman, and they are all back together. Jess Roberts just at the back there as well, the former British champion, just moving up on the outside. And at what point will we see Annemiek van Vleuten go on the offensive, or will she hold back? Remember, if she gets the timing wrong on a circuit like this, it could be very, very difficult. She certainly doesn't want to blow. She needs to get her execution in terms of tactics and the way she rides this absolutely perfect, Matt, especially with the short distance.
Definitely, and it looks like Yannick, who we saw had some problems in that first race, has certainly got is certainly ready to go. And having 2-on-2 is going to make it a lot more even. We saw in that first race that Annemiek, they had a numerical advantage, Mitchelton-Scott. And it's a lot more even this scratch race, and be interesting to see how the tactics play out, especially in the final lap or 2.
Indeed, it looks like we've given one of the riders there a cheeky little yellow jersey. I think I'm not too sure if that's Annemiek van Vleuten or not, but that's the stats of Jess Allen we're looking at the moment. A steady 208 watts, a nice high cadence there, 103 RPM and 166 beats per minute. So all of the stats on the riders there available for everybody to see, including the watts per kilogram. That is the figure there just to the right of the little lightning bolt, which indicates that these riders are showing their power. But remember, no points on offer at all. There's nothing, no bonuses to sprint for at all. This is basically an out-and-out scratch race. It is the first across the line. So the most traditional race of all the racing we've seen over the last hour or so. And it has been absolutely fascinating, especially seeing a team battle it against each other. I mean, Matt, what were your thoughts when this idea first came about for the team to be actually racing against each other?
And look, as far as Zwift itself, I think we were talking earlier about Matt Heyman and the success that he had through injury preparing on Zwift for Paris-Roubaix, and it's something that our guys were using anyway. But I think in this period where we haven't got racing and we want to stay connected, it's been a brilliant tool for the guys to do something together. At the end of the day, most of these guys train together. No one trains alone. People always like training and doing things together. And I think the Zwift competition has been a valuable asset in this very strange times that the guys have been experiencing.
Yeah, it certainly has. It's kept a lot of people entertained. It's kept a lot of people fit. And the wider Zwift community, there are a lot of riders riding on Zwift at the moment on the platform. I'm going to be riding tomorrow on a group ride as well. We've had Simon and Adam Yates and other members of the team going on rides as well, which members of the Zwift community can join in as well. And that's the wonderful thing about this platform. It's not just a platform to keep fit. It's a platform to engage with other riders anywhere in the world, basically. Well, this is lap number 1 done, 1.97 kilometers to be exact. There they go. Van Vleuten goes through in first position, but a far more tactical affair than we've seen for the last race. Van Vleuten, of course, went clear very, very early on, but all the riders together at the moment, it's quite a nervous affair. They're riding at a pace mat at the moment, which is very, very easy for them to maintain. Perhaps we may see a sprint towards the back end of this race now, because this is very, very tactical. Nobody willing to show their cards just yet.
No, and I think this is at the moment this is playing into the hands of Bike Exchange. I think if it did come down to a sprint, I think Jessica Roberts would be the favourite amongst these girls. I think she'd be the punchiest, and probably be able to put out the most explosive power at the end. But I'll be very surprised if we don't see an attack from Annemiek in the next lap or two. I'm very, very surprised.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised as well that they have to go on the offensive. And as you quite correctly said, although Annemiek van Vleuten is the world champion, former time trial champion on multiple occasions as well, she hasn't got the same punch as Jessica Roberts. Different sort of attributes. Jess Roberts, only 20 years of age, took 2 stages last year of the Tour of Britannia. She broke away in one of them and won a big bunch sprint. As we see, Ensing, who we mentioned before, struggled a little bit in the opening round. She went clear, but immediately she's been countered by Annemiek van Vleuten, who is not letting anybody go clear. Sorry, Ensing is still clear, should I say. Looks like there's been a little bit of a separation here. 2 riders now just moving clear. Ensing rolling through there for team number 2. That's Bike Exchange. Another rider just going straight over the top here. Looks like we're having a little bit more aggressive times here. This is lap number 2 of 4. And Jess Allen now moving clear with Jess Roberts. The 2 Jesses actually in a bit of a battle here. So Jess Allen and Jess Roberts, the 26-year-old Australian from Perth, moving clear with a British counterpart who's only 20 years of age. So 2 riders moving clear here, Matt. Quite a surprising little bit of a tactical shenanigans going on.
It is. It looks like each rider is designated, I'll follow one, you follow the other. And we are seeing in groups of pairs moving away. And when one Mitchelton-Scott rider goes clear, a rider from Bike Exchange covers.
Yeah, that is, again, we don't often see or hardly ever see teams riding against each other. You might get it on training camps when riders do lead outs, do efforts on climbs, split off into groups and do racing scenarios. But especially in the virtual world, let alone the real world, we never see teams race against each other. So what you're seeing before you is something completely new and very, very exciting indeed. And look at that, the Scott bikes that the team ride. They've even got different colour schemes to match their kit as well. Great stuff here. But I think you're right there. Allen now goes clear. Jess Allen from Perth moves clear again. Big, big effort here. Look at the picture-in-picture there. She's managed to open up a bit of a gap, but it is Jess Roberts. I think you're totally right here, Matt, as we come through with lap number 2 done and dusted, that both teams, whoever's looking after these teams, I don't know whether you want to give the game away, Matt, in terms of does Bike Exchange have 1 DS? Does Mitchelton-Scott have 1 DS? Have they spoken to each other? Because clearly there are some tactics playing out. They are marking each other, aren't they? Woman for woman.
They are. I spoke to Jess Allen before the race had started this morning, and she did speak to Annemiek before the race started today. So it looks like some of the teams have got their tactics pretty clear, and it's pretty entertaining to see. And as we see now, Yannick has attacked from Bike Exchange. So you would expect Annemiek or one of the Mitchelton girls to bridge across.
It is, and it's Ensing who goes clear from the Netherlands. And it is Van Vleuten, the world champion. He goes straight by her, and it's opened up a gap. The 2 Jesses now flailing in the slipstream of the 2 Dutch women. Van Vleuten now really putting on the power up. This little bit of a drag, just under 2 laps to go now. But the gap has opened up here. This is an interesting situation. Remember, when we headed into this final round, it's 44 points for Bike Exchange, 34 points for Mitchelton-Scott. Mitchelton-Scott dominated the opening round, and it was the rider on your screen in the lead at the moment, Annemiek van Vleuten, who won that the points race in a quite devastating fashion. And then we saw the men's race dominated by Luke Durbridge turn the tables. Team 2 Bike Exchange really did mop up the points there and moved into the lead, leading this race in the balance. But the two Jesses now have actually caused a bit of a gap. And if I was actually Jess Allen here, Matt, I would actually if I was Jess Roberts, I would force Jess Allen to change, because it's Team 1 that actually need more points than Team 2 here.
Yeah, definitely. And we've seen that we see a big attack now from Annemiek, and this is going to put Ensing on under the pump here. The two Dutchies have gone clear, and it'll be very interesting to see if Yannick can hang on here, because when Annemiek goes, good luck holding on.
Well, ideally, of course, a Mitchelton-Scott Team 1 in the yellow need to get first and second places. So this is a good position for Bike Exchange to be in. So Ensing pretty happy to work here with Annemiek van Vleuten. Even if she were to get beaten on the line, it could mean that that Bike Exchange do win this. So a very, very interesting tactic behind. And Jess Allen and Jess Roberts, and it is Jess Allen now who has left the British rider Jess Roberts behind. There we go. Van Vleuten and Ensing in the lead. Allen now trying to come across the gap. Remember, Mitchelton-Scott in the more traditional lime and black kit. They're the team that need to score more points to kind of redress the balance in this final race. So a fascinating situation unfolding here, Matt, as we've only got 2.1k to go. It'll be one lap to go next time through. But definitely these two riders in the lead. But can Allen close the gap?
Yeah, it's going to be hard. It looks like the two Dutchies have gone quite clear, and it looks like the other two guys have rejoined, and so we've got 2 on 2. But that's going to force Jess Allen to chase here, because if the situation finishes as it is with the two Dutchies away, Team Bike Exchange will win the overall. So there's a lot to be done here from Team Mitchelton-Scott.
Yeah, definitely. Well, mathematically, it is a Bike Exchange who are in the far stronger position now that we're well into the final lap, 1.7 kilometres to go. I've no doubt that after a difficult first race, Yannick Ensing would love to just win this race as well, just to make sure, just to really ram home the dominance of Bike Exchange. But Van Vleuten, well, she's at the world champion. She will want to win this as well. But what she needs to do is maybe just back off the pace a little bit and let Jess Allen come in. This is an interesting situation here, because really, in an ideal situation, Matt, to try and turn the tables, Team Mitchelton-Scott in the black and the yellow kit need to get first and second place. So it's ideally now, Van Vleuten needs to back off to let Allen get back into positions they can at least try and get first and second here, Matt.
Yeah, that would be in an ideal scenario. And then another interesting one is if it does come down to a sprint here, who is going to be faster, Yannick or Annemiek? Oh, there we go. Jessica Roberts has made contact again with Jess Allen. So again, we have 2 on 2 with the two Dutchies well clear.
Well, the two Dutchies still in front there, Ensing and Van Vleuten. And Ensing just goes, well, Van Vleuten now goes 7 watts a kilo. She wants to make sure that at least she does her part here. She's opened up a bit of a gap on Ensing. Look at the power here of the world champion. That dominant performance, remember, well, that spectacular, legendary performance back in Yorkshire. Still in her legs. She's ridden one race on the road this year, Het Nieuwsblad. She won that solo, and she's going to do it again here. Only 750 metres to go here. So Van Vleuten making sure, Matt, that there's no doubt at least who the first rider across the line is. And hopefully Jess Allen can catch up with Ensing. But at the moment, she's 18 seconds behind. So it looks as if Team 2, despite the best efforts of Van Vleuten, are going to win this overall. But what a display of strength and prowess by Van Vleuten here, Matt.
It is I was surprised that Annemiek left it too late, but you saw when she attacked, no one had an answer to the power that she's putting through the pedals at the moment. And she's gone very, very clear, and looks like she's going to take the win in this one quite easily. But I don't think it's going to be enough for Mitchelton-Scott to stay ahead on points. And it looks like the winners of this afternoon's 3-round series is going to be Bike Exchange.
It certainly does. Well, look at that. She's opened up an enormous gap. 12 seconds over her fellow countryman, Yannick Ensing, has ridden exceptionally well. 23 seconds back to Jess Roberts of Great Britain. And then a further second behind is Jess Allen. So the two Jesses in third and fourth position. But the leader and the winner, Van Vleuten, she's crossed the line. She is the winner of the final scratch race. Ensing of the Netherlands in second place closes the gap just a little bit. That's good point scoring for a Bike Exchange. And you can just see the picture on the screen here. And that is Allen. Well, she crosses the line as well. So Jess Roberts crosses the line. Well, fascinating stuff, but no doubt I think the display, well, the performance there of Team Bike Exchange will get to the mathematicians to crunch the numbers just to make sure, but it looks as if despite the win of Annemiek van Vleuten, it is going to be Bike Exchange who take the overall. But Matt, a great display, 3 fantastic races here on the Zwift platform. There is confirmation, Van Vleuten with 8, Ensing with 6, Roberts with 4, and Jessica Allen with 2. I think that does mean, Matt, that Bike Exchange have won the day.
It does, and two wins from Team Mitchelton-Scott with Annemiek is just not going to be enough. And a great win, from Team Bike Exchange. And that was really down to the dominance from the men in the elimination race. They clawed back a deficit from race 1 and went into the last race with a commanding lead. And they rode a tactically astute final race, and it was enough to keep Team Mitchelton-Scott under wraps and win the overall.
Well, Matt, thanks very much for joining us. It's been a great 3 races, Matt. One more word for you. I mean, what's it been like? I mean, I say difficult times for everybody in the world, including road cycling, but really great to see Mitchelton-Scott stepping up and putting these races on for us. So thanks very much indeed, Matt.
Thank you. And look, it's a difficult time for the sporting community, but it's also, this is something that hopefully we won't have to experience ever again. And a lot of people are getting sick, and a lot of people are dying. And I think the message here is that everyone, self-isolation is a very important factor. And if we can limit the people getting sick over the next couple of weeks, it's going to make a big difference. And staying inside and exercising inside is a great way to keep switched and to keep mentally healthy as well, and as well as help the bigger community.
Matt, it's been a pleasure as ever. Thanks very much indeed. But for now, we'll head back to the studio with OJ and Hannah.
Thank you very much to Matt Stevens, and lovely words from Matt White as well. Exercising inside. If you've got the Zwift platform, you can do it. And that was a great 2 Dutch riders going head to head, swinging for the fences, orange numbers everywhere. That's what we wanted.
Yeah, that was brilliant. And both teams, must have spoken with each other after the first race, seeing what they can improve on, how they can work together from their, various places around the world, locations around the world. And, Janneke Ensing came back so strong in that scratch race. She learned from the points race and really gave Annemiek a real good run for her money. But Jess Roberts was able to get the up hand on Jess Allen there at the finish.
And this didn't it? It came down to the last minute. It came down to the last sprint, which is what we loved it so much. It was great. So thank you so much to Mitchelton-Scott and all of the pro riders for taking part in this. $10,000, which has been donated by Zwift, will go to the charity of choice of the winning team, which is Bike Exchange. What the charity is, I don't know yet, but keep your eyes on all of the socials. They'll tell you then. We can see the final points. It did come down to the final moment, didn't it? Mitchelton-Scott on 46, Bike Exchange on 52. And I want to see more pro teams do this. I mean, it's just when there is a lack of bike racing, we love watching bike racing on TV. Of course we do. It's what we all love. We love bike racing. If we can't watch it there, let's watch it on Zwift.
Yeah, definitely. Any form of bike racing, it's thrilling, it's exciting. And as we just saw there, that 3-race format with mixed teams, with the men and women, they need to speak to each other. Durbo's team taking the win. So good team captaincy from him. Yeah. He'll be happy.
Lead from the front.
He's got the bragging rights for the foreseeable. But yeah, definitely think more pro teams should get involved with it. Imagine if you had one rider from each pro team in this. It would be fantastic.
Very good. Well, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We'll be back again for another show today. The Tour of Autopia will be kicking off again 7 p.m. GMT, 12 o'clock PST. Make sure you watch that. Jonathan Levy will be going to see if he can hold on to his yellow jersey. And I don't just say that in the metaphorical sense. He will actually be wearing a yellow jersey in the race with a bike to match. Hannah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. See you later.
Thank you very much. See you later.
And we'll see you back here. Thank you for watching. Thank you to Mitchelton-Scott again. Thank you to everyone.